cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got it recording because again, there was an issue once before where I pushed record and it decided to not record. And I was just like, dang it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Got it recording. We're good to go. Let me see if anyone is in the waiting room. Let me see here. Hey, waiting room. Is there no one in the waiting room? Breakout. No one's in the waiting room. Okay, well, that's too bad for them. So if no one shows up, what it'll just be you and me, and you'll see all of your stuff. And then Phil is going through and basically just making like a YouTube video podcast-ish kind of thing. And then eventually we'll load it up onto our YouTube page, and it'll just be like a fun conversation type thing. So hopefully I won't have any interruptions. I told Dad what's going on, so he's over at the neighbor's house having a drink.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, so I was just like, Dad, get off your computer. I need it right now. Just like,
yeah, my husband's out for the evening, but even so, like, so now it's probably worse because I may have cat distraction going on, but other than that.
yeah, you'll see my dogs running by. Hopefully the birds won't squawk. And I gotta ask, is that a Harry Potter Hogwarts castle behind you?
Yes. I don't know if I can move my camera well enough.
I absolutely love it. It's so awesome.
Thanks.
I'm total nerd. My car is bright orange. I've nicknamed it BB-8. I love
it. Yeah. Not so secret nerd right here. Like Star Wars, Harry Potter, Disney,
definitely.
Like, all those things.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. Hi, Charlie. Hello. Okay. All right. So how's about I give you control of the meeting? I'll make you host. And do you have like a PowerPoint, or are you?
I did have one. I didn't put a very long one together, but I wasn't sure. So however you want to do this.
Yeah. So I'll make you the host, and then that way you share screen. And you can do your PowerPoint and then just go. One of my students, I'm so sad she couldn't make it. She found out about Just Food for Dogs. I can't remember how, but she absolutely loved it. And I heard about it when I was working at the emergency clinic.
Yeah.
One. And I was just like, this stuff is awesome.
Thank you.
Friends were like, oh, we're doing the home cooked thing, but they do it not quite right. And then I learned about Just Food for Dogs, and I'm like, this stuff I can totally get behind. And
that was one of my favorite parts of what we do. Like, and that's not related to me being an RVT in the business or whatever, is that one of the things that I loved about the company in general was the whole like, there's a lot of people that are cooking from home, right? And unfortunately, there was a big in the past, there was a lot of dismissiveness about it. Like, people didn't want to really, like, because it wasn't balanced, or it was really hard to get it balanced. It was, oh yeah, that's not good for your dog, stick to what we're doing, XYZ. And like, now there's been a lot more research and a lot more like studies about how fresh whole food is better for many different reasons. And if people are going to do it from home, like, here, we'll give you our recipes and we'll tell you how to make it balanced. Like, so you want to cook at home, that's cool, you do that for you. But as the veterinary medical side of it, we want to make sure you're
You froze for a minute. Oh no. Please say. Sorry, it froze, and you're back.
I'm here.
Okay.
But our medical director, Dr. Kendra Scheibe, she actually did you talking about YouTube videos. She did a series of YouTube videos where she did cooking demos, and she actually cooked all the food from scratch.
Awesome.
And did like how, like, this is how easy it is to do. This is where you add the stuff. And they're up on the Just Food for Dogs has a YouTube channel. Not many people know it's there, but we have one. And it's got all of they're like 30-minute like videos of her just cooking with her dogs in the kitchen too. Her kids are helping her out. Like, it's adorable.
Cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I can make you the host.
All right, cool. Hang on, where did you go? Oh, you're there. Hi, thank you for joining us, sir.
All right.
Hang on, what side is he? He is the side. Oh, hang on. There's like cushions and then cat.
Oh, I love it. All right, I have my audience. All right, you are now the host. So you have
Okay, let me see. Let me find my present. Let me find my presentation first. I had it open. All right. Okay. Find it
Mel,
first. Okay. I don't think I'm not screen sharing yet, right? Am I now? Okay. All
no,
right.
it's,
There we go. Is
there we
that
go.
working now? Yay.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I did a really short little presentation because I wasn't sure. Like I attended a couple of these, and this has been a really awesome series. So thank you so much for inviting me to be part of it. And this is Archie in this picture. We attempted to make him a model for Just Food for Dogs for the cat line. He was having none of it, as you can see from his face in this picture. Like we tried, he was not happy to be part of this. So he has decided to not be part of tonight as well. Um, not a happy bunny. But kind of wanted to just show like what kind of stuff as a RVT in specifically the pet food industry really does. And it's exactly what you think it will be, but also not exactly what you think it'd be. I've been genuinely surprised by some of the things I get to do and get to be involved in as part of our vet team. And I still get to work with vets every day. And as a technician, one of the things I know, part of our job is making sure the vets are where they need to be when they need to be there, and I still do that, just just on a little bit of a different scale. Oh, is this working? No. Okay, now and then just like as I sort of like a little bit of background about me. So my accent has almost completely gone, but I actually grew up in the UK and went to school there. I moved here 10 years ago, or 11 years ago now. Wow. But I actually didn't start off in veterinary medicine. I actually graduated in financial maths. We were talking about being nerds earlier on. I actually worked in the video games industry for over 5 years, doing finance for the video games industry. And then circumstances brought my husband and I here in 2010, and I decided I wanted to do something different. I'd always loved working with animals. I live 10 minutes down the street from the Irvine Animal Care Center here in Irvine, and I applied for a job there I was a volunteer for months, and I just applied for a job there. And they accepted me because I've been volunteering there for so long that they pretty much considered me a member of staff already, and that is where my veterinary medicine career started. And then obviously then decided I wanted to get more formal qualifications, so came to OCVAS. And actually when I was there, it was during the Heritage College years. So
When I
I
started
actually
there.
I have the Heritage College. I feel like we're a select bunch that has that certification from there at that time. And I had to include Timmy and Torty in this presentation because I would not have got through my almost 2 years at that school without those two. They were adorable, and if one of them wasn't asleep on my desk at one point during the evening, it wasn't a complete class. Um,
Oh.
so yeah, they were very active part of my schooling. And then I graduated there in 2016, no, 20, at the end of 2015, and then took my VTNE in December in 2015. And passing my VTNE was probably the best Christmas gift I could have possibly have had, because that's a lot of stress, but it's totally worth it. Um,
Definitely.
and I have to thank again all the staff and all the students that I was with at OCVS when I was there, because we did study prep groups beforehand and definitely calmed my nerves before taking that exam. And I will forever be grateful for the help that I got and the education I got there. And then while I was there, obviously working in general practice while I was still at school, but I never really worked out what I wanted to do. I liked GP. There were certain elements I liked of GP, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And so I tried out a couple of other different specialties. I was able to work, I did emergency and critical care for a couple of years, which is definitely like, you have to be the right person for that, and I am not. But I would never say I had a bad experience there. It's just it wasn't for me.
That's
And I was
It's tough work. I've done emergency. It's hard.
It's tough work. It's long hours. It's just heartbreaking. I mean, there's for every heartbreaking case, you have like 10,000 like amazing cases, but unfortunately, it's the heartbreaking ones you remember. Well,
Yeah.
I did anyway. There are definitely people out there, and the people that work in emergency are amazing. I worked for a surgery specialist for a little bit of time, which then ended up transitioning into doing canine rehabilitation, as I mentioned earlier. I actually worked with Lauren Harker for a little bit, and I still do relief work with her. So I still do a little bit of canine rehabilitation. But it was actually when I was working in emergency that I learned about Just Food for Dogs. They actually serve their inpatients Just Food for Dogs diets. They have a sample freezer. They very heavily recommend it. And I'd never heard of the company before. I had no idea who they were. Um, and kind of was like, what, same as what most people see when they first see it, like, oh, fresh dog food. Okay, what's this? This is weird. Like, what is it? And then I got to see like how it works and how it changes pets' health. And I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm on board. This is awesome. And the more and more I learned about the company, I found out they were located here in Irvine. They had a vet team, and just through a trial and error of applying for a couple of positions there, and then getting to know the vet team slowly through like lunch and learns that were at clinics I was in. I also met Jessica Wilson, who's the other educational trainer here. I actually met her through Instagram. And her and I kind of got chatting, and she was teaching me more about fresh whole food. And then eventually I joined the team back in 2019. So I've been there a year and a half almost, and most of that through a pandemic. So that's been fun.
Ugh.
So my job has been very, very different compared to what it was. Um, and then I just stuck this in here because I know probably most people out of us, because you're in Orange County, who Just Food for Dogs are, but just for anyone who doesn't, they were a company that was founded over a decade ago. We're a vet-centric, research-based pet food company serving fresh whole food that are designed with human-grade ingredients to help improve the quality of pets' lives. And if anyone ever does want any information about Just Food for Dogs, I put my contact information at the end, so I'm happy for you to reach out about more about that. So my role there is I'm the veterinary outreach educational trainer. So the two main parts of my job as part of the veterinary educational trainer position is clinical education and conferences. Now, conferences obviously have been very different in the last year and a half. So I got to experience one conference in person, and then the rest we've all done virtually, and clinical education the same way. So obviously the biggest part of my job has been going to individual clinics and doing clinical education. So hosting lunch and learn events, those reps that come from different companies and do your educational events and bring you lunch. That's partly what I do. I host those events, schedule them with the teams, especially if it's a team that we're partnered with for a long time. If there's new staff that come in that want to learn more, we come back in and do individual sessions. If we maybe there's a new product and that we're launching, like recently we've done some new pantry fresh options, we'll go in and just re-educate the staff on like what exactly that is, why we're doing it, what the purpose is, and how it can benefit the clinic. So general education about the pet food industry. I spent my first few weeks at the company actually not doing any of this and actually just being educated myself on a lot of stuff about the pet food industry. We go real deep into back in the 60s when they started making canned diets, and back into World War II when they decided that we were going to do kibble. Like, we go real deep into pet food. And so I spent the first few weeks really having to dive into a lot of that. And then now get to go out and teach up, vets, vet techs, vet professionals about that. But also about why we do what we do, which is super important too. And then, as I mentioned, conferences. So obviously when they were in person, we attended conferences and we were in the exhibit hall. Now we've been doing them a little bit more virtually. So that's been a little bit of a tough pivot, but the whole industry is learning that together. So a big part of that is, being in the exhibit hall and being there for people as they go past and they have questions, and being able to answer any questions anyone has about Just Food for Dogs, whether they've heard about us before, even if they haven't, trying to, find out what they want to learn, get like kind of start a communication with them and get a connection, and find out exactly what they want to learn about us and how we can help them. A big part of our mission at the company is to really support vet clinics. And so we're not here to necessarily sell the stuff we do, which is one of the reasons why I love working for this company. Is I mean, obviously we want to sell food, but we're here to help support pet parents and to support vet clinics rather than like trying to push the food onto them. We're trying to educate about how the industry works, and offer an option for fresh whole food.
Yeah.
And then also recently in the last year, we've been doing a lot of online like continuing education events. So we host normally 2 a month. They're different areas nationwide. Um, and so a part of that is like exactly what we're doing here, like a Zoom presentation with a PowerPoint, or we actually have a new one which is on a different deck called Prezi, and answering questions as we are live. So we do all these events live. Normally the veterinarians on my team present them, but I'm normally on the back end answering any questions in the Q&A section of Zoom, and making sure everyone gets all the information they need and they're clear with everything. So that's really a huge chunk of what I get to do. I always like I've totally wanted to put this meme in of how different it looks now, of how it started and how it finished. This was at Weston last year. No, gosh, last year. It was last year. This was back in February, just before the pandemic happened. Sorry, my cats are now throwing things off the table and running around.
No worries, my dog. It's all good.
But so like this is kind of to show you, the booth that we have at the exhibit halls, where we're there with all our information and some goodie bags, and we have free stuff we can give away. And then now how that looks really different now. It's normally me sitting at my laptop, of course, with one of my cats on my lap, because he likes to join for conferences.
Yes.
He doesn't like to be in pictures, but he does like to join for conferences. So we may see him at some point tonight. And then just like like I said, I'm really lucky that what I've got to do has definitely evolved as part of, especially with everything that's gone on with curbside and stay-at-home orders. Obviously, previously my job was to travel around a lot and go to a lot of vet clinics in person. And now I haven't been able to do that for a long time, although we're starting to slowly do that a little bit more. But we've been able to evolve that a little bit since staying at home and using those kind of things. So big part of this obviously is maintaining relationship with those veterinary partners. As I mentioned earlier, doing a lot of client education, when even like specific case information too. Like we'll have veterinarians who'll reach out to us when they have a specific case that they're not sure which one of our diets, for example, would be the best fit for whatever reason. So maybe it's a cardiac patient who needs a certain percentage of sodium in their diet. It really needs to be really restricted. And we can talk through like what diet options are available for them. And really like sit and pick the case apart and do like a case study with them to help them get the right option for them. And I get to be a part of that, which is always amazing and fun to do. We do a lot of in-house training too. So like with the whole general Just Food for Dogs staff, we actually do monthly office hours with our vet team so that we can answer their questions and almost treat almost like their pet parents, like their vet professionals. Sometimes they don't always know the exact information because they don't have the veterinary background and the veterinary training. So at least once a month we hold a meeting with them just to kind of be like, hey, we're here. It's like a coffee hour, like, hey, we're going to be online from this time to this time. If you want to drop in and ask a question, absolutely come in and do so. We also do, when there's new product lines, we'll have a meeting where we'll talk to them about what the lines are, how they work, and what we're doing and why they're beneficial and things like that. My favorite part is doing education with vet students and vet tech students like tonight. Everyone, you guys are the future of veterinary medicine. So being able to do, help you guys with anything like that. We recently just did a talk with the vet students at Western University too. And that was so much fun to meet the new vets that are going to be graduating in the next few years. These guys were like first and second years. So they were like brand new to veterinary medicine in most cases. So it was really fun to kind of find out where they're at and kind of educate a little bit, but also just build that relationship from the beginning their careers and their starts. We also do client education events as well. So like pet parents directly. We normally do them in conjunction with vet clinics we work with. Again, that's always been a good fun part of what I get to do. When a lot of vet clinics are starting to do like mini lecture series for their pet parents so they can educate them on stuff, and there's a lot of clinics that are getting really involved in this, and so we have been partnering with a lot of them to do nutrition talks. And it's not always just talking about just food for dogs, it's about nutrition in general, so that's always fun too. And then being involved in social media content too. If anyone who sees this video at any point, or you, Jen, if you've seen any of our social media, we get featured quite heavily, and our pets get featured quite heavily on there, because we, as being a vet-centric company, they want to showcase how, the vets and the vet team that we have. So myself and the rest of the vet team. So we get included in there in quite a bit, which is always, it's fun. And then all of a sudden you forget that you made a video for Instagram, and then it gets posted and all my friends see it. And they're like, oh my God, you're on the Just Food for Dogs video. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that.
And you're like, that's
going, I don't want to hear myself. I don't want to hear myself. But everyone sends it to you. So you're like, oh, that's fun. But yeah, that's kind of like a roundup of what I get to do. And then the other thing I just kind of wanted to share was, one thing I always feel like should always be shared about different things like this is like, what are the, there's benefits and downsides to like making sure that doing something like this is the best fit for you. And for me, like, this is the most perfect job I get to do, because I still get to work with pets and I still get to impact pets' lives, but I also get to be a bit more flexible with my scheduling. What was the hardest thing for me when I joined veterinary medicine was trying to find a position in a clinic, because my husband works out of the industry. He's in a regular 9-to-5 job, and it was trying to coordinate having a schedule that really worked for both of us, that we both could work with. And so having a job like what I do now, I get to do that generally on Monday to Friday. I do have to work weekends when we have conferences and things like that, but it's not all the time, and I get to I have a lot of flexibility on that. So there's a few benefits to this kind of work. First of all, helping pets on a nationwide scale. Like Just Food for Dogs is nationwide, and so we work with, like, just today, for example, my first call this morning was with a vet in Florida, and then my last call this afternoon was talking to a vet clinic down in San Diego. So the time differences are definitely fun to work with. It's taken me a good 6 months to actually work out where everywhere is on the time scale, and make sure that I'm not telling people to call me at 6 a.m. More for me than them. But it's getting to do that on a nationwide scale is pretty cool. I already mentioned the flexible schedule. One awesome thing about what I do is there's times where I really need to be at my desk and working when certain things are on the calendar, but thankfully the rest of the time is pretty flexible. I get to, if I need a vet visit for one of my cats, I can, hop off for an hour as long as I've still got my phone with me and I can be reached in emergencies. I can do that. If one day, the morning's just really not working for me and I feel like I'm well or anything, I can start a little later and work later in the evening. There's certain things that are going to be like heavily on the schedule, but most of the time I can be pretty flexible with it. I get to meet lots of new people, which is, for me, is amazing. I'm super social. Like, the last year has been really tough on me being stuck at home. And so getting to meet, like, especially at conferences, I'm the person who's like, hey, hello. You don't know me, but hi. And so that has been like a really fun part, is getting to meet so many people in the vet profession. I've got to meet some people that I have followed online for a long time. Like, there's a few veterinarians that I have always been like fans of through like Instagram and Facebook and the things that they post up there. And it's been really awesome to get to meet some of them in person at these kind of events. And so that's awesome. I've got to travel a lot more. Again, hopefully that'll start back up again a little bit in a few months time. But we get to travel to different conferences. Veterinary conferences are always in different locations, so it's always fun to do that. I put in there no 2 days are the same because they're really not. Honestly, most mornings you don't. There's probably a few pinpoints throughout the day where you're like, okay, I know I'm going to be in that meeting at this time, and I'm gonna have a lunch and learn at this time. But normally, there's really not 2 days that are the same, and monotony sometimes is something that I can't, like, if I'm doing the same thing every day, it just, like, I can't, I'm not the person that can handle that very well. So having something be different every day is really cool. And I
Yeah.
have a great opportunity for growth as well. Like I said, over the last year, I've got to be pretty in control of how my career is going at the company. I've got to get involved in a few things that maybe I wouldn't necessarily if I'd not been interested in doing them. Like, again, with things like conferences and building up virtual stuff, I've been able to explore, like, okay, let me help out with these kind of things and being more involved in that role. So, and then I wanted to be fair and say, like, there can be some downsides, and for certain people this is going to be why maybe this isn't the best career for you. But I do want to be completely honest and transparent with that. There's definitely less hands-on interaction with pets. um, One of the things I do love about going to clinics when I get to go in person is almost every clinic anyway, has a hospital dog or a hospital cat or someone's pet that comes in, and I am always the first one to, like, pet them and love on them and, like, oh yeah, I need to sit up for my presentation, but I got the dog first. Like, let me pet them. Yeah, so I definitely miss that, for sure. And especially with doing a lot more virtual stuff. And I love that your dog is on your lap right now, because I'm like, I just want to pet, just
He's a
want to pet
Charlie.
Ella. Oh, the cutie. See, and that's something I miss for sure. Um, and then obviously meeting new people, I love it. I'm a total extrovert, but people who are very introverted, and I know there's a lot of people that get into veterinary medicine because they think they don't like people.
I
And
always tell
so
them,
this,
oh, child,
oh yeah,
that's
no,
most of it. So it's the
I
people.
hate, yeah, as much as you hate people or don't want to work with people, every animal you're going to meet has a person attached to it. So, and unfortunately the animal can't talk, the person can. So we all
I
have
always,
to learn how to work with people. But if that's not something you enjoy in the job, that's definitely not going to be something, this kind of work, you want to do. And the same with traveling. Like, I love traveling. I've traveled my entire life. I've moved countries 3 times. When I was a kid, my parents traveled around a lot. So traveling for me is fun. But for those people that are not into traveling, then this is totally not going to be your thing. And the same again with the no 2 days are the same. For me, again, I love that. I love that my job is different every single day. But I know there are people that brings out the worst anxiety in them completely. So if that's not for you, then that's
yeah.
not for you. I mean, these are definitely all things that if you've got that extroverted, you like people, like talking, traveling, like, this is definitely the best way to do it.
Oh,
So that was
wonderful.
everything I had, and then I had a little cat popping
Oh,
up. I was like, I have to show this slide because it's adorable.
yeah, I love it. That's so cute. So I had a question on one of the slides. It had uh, like it said no feed check mark little logo.
Oh,
What is
here, I go back. This one, no feed grade
the
ingredients.
no feed grade? What does that mean?
So this is going into, like, a deep dive into. I'll do a very brief version. It's a kind of a deep dive into, like, the food industry. So
Yeah.
Everything. So if a ingredient is designated by the FDA as fit for human consumption, so it's going to be something that could be eaten by a person.
Uh-huh.
That is called a food grade ingredient. The label of it is food grade. It's
Yes.
normally in most cases called human grade, but food grade is the technical term. So
Okay.
then everything else is under the umbrella term of feed grade. So,
Okay.
and it doesn't, I always like to say, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad food, like it's got something wrong with it or anything like that. It can be things that are culturally not eaten in places. Like, a lot of the byproducts are things like, um, well, liver less so, but some of the organ meat is often considered not cultural. Like humans are not going to eat it because it's not culturally acceptable to eat it in like in the US, for example. But it's it's highly nutritious and perfectly acceptable to eat, so that would be considered feed grade. The FDA basically set a huge list of requirements and standards when like even from the moment that let's use an animal for an example. Apologies to any vegetarians that watch this, but even when an animal is being raised for meat, the FDA have a lot of regulations of how they should look, how they should be treated, how the meat basically should look. And then when they've gone through the slaughterhouse process, when they have the cuts of meat have all been made up, again, there's lots of checks and balances about how it's handled, how it's checked, how it is transported. And if it doesn't meet for all those requirements, it's then considered feed grade.
I see.
So one of the things with Just Food for Dogs is that we only use everything that has gone through the human food side check. So if you go through any of our checklists of any of our food, all the ingredients we use are food grade only. Here in California, we use oh my gosh, what's the name of West Coast Prime, I think is the name of the company. I may be wrong on that, and I will correct it if I can find the correct name. But it's actually a meat distributor that distributes to restaurants and grocery stores. Okay. So we're their only pet food company that they distribute to. And even for us, like that includes supplements as well. So like the supplement line that we have, everything's human grade as well. Like I've taken some of the supplements personally. A little bit out of curiosity, and one of them because it was a necessity at conference. When we have a calming supplement that's like magnesium passion flower and magnesium passion flower, and valerian root, and it kind of has that calming effect on dogs, and it works on people too. So at conferences, when you're up here like all day and then you have to go to bed because you need to get up early the next morning, it helps kind of bring you down a little bit.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I understand. You can't say like human consumption quality because then people will think they can eat it. So you put the no feed grade because it's not all that extra stuff.
Yeah, so it does say on the packaging, like we have on our packaging like food grade ingredients, but because it is designed and balanced for dog, I mean, a human could eat it. It's going to be really, and we do that. One of the things we get to do with open houses is we will do cooking demos, and then we'll like the pet parents will watch us cooking the food. They'll see all the ingredients they recognize, and then when we offer it to them, they're like, "Oh no, it's dog food, no." And like you just watched what I cooked. But it would just be for human palate, it's just really bland. Because it's designed for a dog palate, not for a human palate. But yeah, the feed grade ingredient is because nothing in there is feed grade. So we just guarantee there's no feed grade in there.
Okay. The wording of it is one that because I've taught like some like basic nutrition for veterinary technicians and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a phrase that I have never used, and so it confused me. So thank you for explaining.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's a lot of it's a term that, especially with the pet food industry, doesn't often get used a lot because there can be some negative connotation to it, because people think, oh, if it's not food grade, then it's not good. And like, it doesn't necessarily mean that. There's just not as much testing. There's not as much rigorous, like checking and things like that on feed grade ingredients. And again, that's a really long, deep dive into like the pet food industry and how it works and how the FDA regulate and everything, which if anyone, I'm happy that I can talk about that for like over an hour, but I know that's not what we're here for tonight.
Well, very cool. Yeah. So as far as you working for the company and everything, do you see yourself working for it like long term and stuff? Just so just people who end up watching this get an idea of the longevity, like your coworkers and stuff. How long have they been with the company? Because I honestly didn't realize Just Food for Dogs had been around for what did you say, 10 years?
10 years. Yeah, the first store opened in January 2010. So actually 11 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
They've been around way longer than I realized. I had only heard about them a few years ago when I was working at the
Yeah.
emergency BCA,
Yeah,
and
they
they had
started off.
right across the street from us.
Yeah, they started off a little like, so the first kitchen was opened, I believe, in 2010. I think it was January, but it may have been, it was, if they may have signed the lease for it in January to open later in the year. Um, but the first kitchen was opened. It was actually on PCH down in Newport Beach. That was the first kitchen that was opened in 2010. And it was, it was a little small, like one, like restaurant size kitchen almost. It was like, really wasn't producing a huge amount of food, and it's just been a slow growth. I mean, the way the company has worked is, which has been a really cool thing to see from my perspective, is that they really didn't do a huge amount of like marketing and like TV ads or things like that. It was more through word of mouth and working with veterinarians specifically. So, like you said, there was a store opposite the emergency clinic you worked at. We have little pantry locations in certain vet clinics, so we take up a little bit of their lobby space, and we have like the best equivalent is like when you go to the grocery store and there's a Starbucks in there. That's kind of how we originally set up. We had little pantries in vet clinics. So we worked with veterinarians, we did the education with them, and they were people that were on board with fresh whole food, especially because we've done research and studies and things like that. So it's taken a while. So I definitely see longevity in this. As I mentioned, I'm especially, it's been a little different for me in my career in Just Food for Dogs, because what I was initially set up and hired for is definitely not what I do now. But a lot of that has been through necessity of me working through a pandemic. Because my role originally was going to be that I was in charge of the pantry locations and making sure they were educated and they were getting their questions answered, and then basically traveling around doing lunch and learn. So I would have like on the few weeks that I actually got to do this, um, I would be on Monday, I'd drive up to LA and do a lunch and learn with one clinic, and then do an afternoon event with the second clinic, and then come home. The next day I'd be in San Diego doing the same thing. Then I'd be in Orange County, and like just driving around doing that kind of thing. And then obviously when the pandemic hit, we couldn't go to these locations anymore. So my role has got to change a lot. And what's been really great, especially as part of the team I'm with, is that, like I said, we're not a huge team, the vet team, in comparison to the rest of the other teams at Just Food for Dogs. But my direct team with education, there's myself, two veterinarians, and our veterinary coordinator. And even though, like, you would think, oh, the vets do certain things, and I do, as a technician, I do other things, like that clinic, that traditional like breakdown you would have in a clinic. For us, it really, we all share the work, and it's like, okay, whose strengths play into this, let's have them do that. Like Dr. Wilson, Dr. Jessica Wilson, I work with. Some of the people that watch this may know her because she has a huge like Instagram presence, and she does a lot of stuff on social media. And so, that's her forte. So she does a lot of that kind of stuff. She interacts with a lot of the vet students, and does a lot of work like that. So we all get to kind of develop and grow into what skill sets we have. And so I know I've only been there, my gosh, a year and a half now. I know most of the team, however, have been there over 5 years. Our coordinator has been there pretty much since the beginning. She started, I think, back in 2011. She actually started as a nutrition consultant in one of our kitchen locations, and has just worked with the company. There's definitely a lot of growth opportunities within the company for sure.
That's wonderful. I know that was one of the things that drove me crazy working in just a general practice is I don't like being stagnant. I like to grow, improve and everything. And so that's, again, one of the reasons why I got out of the general practice, is just because I couldn't, I had no goals, and I need something to work towards. And
100%.
yeah. And so I know some people are happy doing that, and they work on their skill set, which is great. I want more than just that. And so I like finding a little bit of variety with my guest lectures that I have come in, and be like, okay, so what is your little thing. So that's awesome that this company offers that. I love the diversity that this company has. And
Yeah,
again, working at the emergency clinic, I got to see what the food did. And I thought
yeah,
it was a great option for a lot of those people who wanted the more natural food diet. And I thought, like, especially for people who are not sure how to do the cooking it yourself or don't have the time to do it themselves.
absolutely.
And then also I saw the different diets they had. They had like a liver health one, a kidney health one for diabetic ones. And I was just like, these are the same things that I see for like the Hills, the Science Diets, the Royal Canin, but they're like the natural ones. And so I was like, these are an awesome alternative for people who want something different and don't want just the plain old kibble. And like, I'm fine with the
Yeah,
kibble, other people aren't. And I was like, these are great. And so I tell
that's the
people,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, not everything is for everyone, but we want to provide an option for those people that do want to do that, but we want it to be something that's scientifically backed up. Like,
yeah.
we are involved in so much research. We even through the pandemic, that's one thing that got to continue going. We actually had we were part of a research paper that was published in February this year in the Journal of Animal Science.
Oh,
It
wow.
was a peer-reviewed study that was about digestibility, and it was looking at it was actually looking at human grade ingredients and the digestibility in pets. Everyone at our company calls it the poop report because really it is just looking at poop. But that's what it was looking at. It was looking at like the food being fed and then the digestibility and the dry matter basis of what was coming out of the feces. And it actually got published this year. So that was
Oh,
pretty
that's
exciting for
awesome.
us. But that's the
That's
thing,
wonderful.
like there's roles within our company that are within research, and helping formulate the diets and being part of coordinating the research that we're involved in. And and we have a team of veterinarians that form it. You mentioned the prescription diets that we have, like as well as just being part of like if fresh whole food and daily diets is beneficial, then obviously it's going to be helpful for those pets with different disease processes. And that's why we've been working on trying to develop as many different. I mean, they're a little harder to balance, sure, but once we get them right, like that provides those options for those pets too. And we've seen some great, like we one of the things that I get to be part of is we do a like a rounds series every month. So we do a case that we find veterinarians that have been recommending our food, and if they have a case study of a pet that's done successfully on one of the prescription diets specifically, they will send us the information. We'll reach out to the owner of the pet and ask them for their permission to share their pet story, and if they will have anything to add. And we actually write a rounds on that on that pet and what's happened, like with the blood work and things like that, and we share it with veterinarians so they can see like, okay, this is how this dog with a
Evident.
liver shunt, for example, has been working with the hepatic diet, and it's
Yeah.
giving case studies for it too.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
and you guys did your research because I remember I was just like, what is this? And I just was reading the ingredients and I was just like, oh, this is legit. Like just reading through some of
yeah,
the, like, you guys are cool. And then I looked into it, I just looked into it a little bit, and just even my small bit of research, I was just
mhm.
like, this is a legit good company. And so I was once, I don't even know how I got into contact with you. I think you asked me for like, uh,
I think I saw your technician lecture, and I wanted because I knew Jeff was doing one, and I knew Jeff.
say you're gonna do a lecture. Just, I
Oh,
got one. I was so excited.
oh, I'm glad I could be here. I was so excited to do this. So
My gosh, like I was so excited because I like, again, like I have mad respect for your company. And then one of my students, she after the nutrition course I went through with them, she just became fascinated with it. And I told her, I was like, she wanted to start doing a more natural diet, because her dog has just sensitive stomach and just,
blame me.
pardon the term, but blowout diarrhea all the time. And I was like, check out Just Food for Dogs. It's a little bit more natural and it's well balanced. Like it's one that I trust if you're going to start doing like the whole natural cooking and everything. And she looked into it and she went nuts for you guys.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, she's done some of the seminars and she was just like, I want to work for them. And I was like, I'm getting someone to talk. And so she was going to be here, but she got stuck at work. So I'm going to make.
No, I know what clinical practice is like. And again, depending on what specialty you're in, like I remember doing 2 hours of overtime in emergency. When you're meant to finish at 10 and it's midnight and you're still there and you're like, I have to be back here in 10 hours.
Yeah, you're just like,
Well, I did, hang on, I did have one last page of the present because I again, if this is going to get shared, people can maybe see this at least.
Yes, please.
I put my contact information on here. And the most adorable, I have to shout out the person who did this for me because she's an Instagram cartoonist called Brittany Art, and she made this little. These are my 3 babies.
That is so cute. I love that. That's adorable.
I was like, I have to share this with everybody now. But yeah, so I've got my email on here or my Instagram for anyone who is on Instagram and wants to reach out, like with the Just Food for Dogs stuff. I also did put a little thing on here too, because again, for vet professionals and the RVT students here, I know Just Food for Dogs does 50% off all of their diets and supplements for anyone in the vet profession. So so you just enroll in vets.justfoodfordogs.com. There's a thing once you get into the portal. So vets.justfoodfordogs.com is a vet portal that we have that's basically a part of our website that's designated just for veterinarians and vet staff, obviously not just veterinarians, vet staff too.
Yeah.
And it has all the research that we participate in, links to that. It has like I have a giant book like this, which is like all of our diets, but there's PDF versions up there and all that kind of stuff. But there's a section on there where you can enroll in the vet discount. And so you just enroll in there and you get 50% off.
That sounds like some really cool resources. I'm going to definitely look into that. Send that to my clinic that my dad is a veterinarian, and I'm going to be like, check this out. Oh, that sounds so cool. Wonderful.
I have just put 2 and 2 together about who your dad is now.
You know
Dr. Weldy? Yes, I do know your dad. I've never met him, but I have just now put 2 and 2 together. About when he was on the screen earlier helping you set up, I was like, I recognize him. Why do I recognize him? I was like, oh, we're all in Orange County. I probably just met him through something. And now I'm like, oh, now I know. Now I've put it together.
That's my dad.
Oh, cool. But yes, for anyone who wants to reach out, like this is my contact information, and I am always happy to talk to students or anyone about either Just Food for Dogs and what we do and how we could potentially help your pet, or about careers for RVTs. I have definitely worked in a few different places, and they haven't always necessarily been traditional career paths for vet techs, especially in surgery and in rehab. But I know you guys all have connections to Lauren, and Lauren will be able to. Lauren convinced me that I wanted to do rehab, so Lauren can convince anybody they want to do rehab for sure. I mean, I still see her and still do rehab with her, so
yeah.
So but yeah, anyone's free to reach out at any time. I always want to, like, I wish I had known when I started that this kind of option was available for me, and I'm glad I know now, and I'm glad people like you are doing stuff like this where you're showing that there are more options for students while they're at school. Like, it's not just clinical practice and that's it. Like, there are other options. You know, there's tons of food companies out there, tons of I know you had Jeff on from Pet Poison, and I know you had, like, there's so many different options, and it's been awesome, this series, just to help showcase that.
Thank you so much. Now this is going to be the last one for a little while, and then I want to have like a season 2 begin again. But
Part 2.
Yes, but I would love to have this continue on. But I thought this was a good little experimental run. But I'm so glad you got to be our grand finale.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I feel special now.
No, thank you. I was looking forward to this one. I was very excited to be able to learn a little bit more about Just Food for Dogs and how the company works, and the fact that it not only like the product is, you know, upstanding, but the company as well. And that's one of the things that is very important to me, because you know, you always hear about those, you know, stressful veterinary clinics and stuff. I'm like, nah, let's get some of the good ones in there. I don't want to hear about the unicorn clinics where it's like the rare ones. That's good. Let's make the rare ones the bad ones. So hearing that this is apparently like a really good one to work for, I'm just like, yeah, I got another one.
Yeah, we're very lucky. If you ever meet Sean, who's our founder, like he's the reason we started. He, you know, he did research into the pet food company, and he opened that first kitchen because he wanted to cook for his own dogs. Like he is the most rescue dog man I've ever met. He's the kindest soul. He will happily talk to you for hours about anything dog related and show you all the pictures of Simon, who was, you know, the mascot of our company for a long time. And then Dr. Chavez, who's our chief medical officer, again, like he followed a calling that ended up with him here. And I think the fact that we have people in the like executive levels that are like that are really, they truly care about, you know, obviously we're a company, we're a business, we need to do business, but they put the animals first. And like the animals and the humans attached to the animals, whether they be the owners, the veterinarians, whoever is attached to that particular animal, they are viewed as the most important thing to us. Like that's a company ethos that I was like, as soon as I went in for my first interview, I felt that. And so I was like, I know this is a good place.
That just sounds amazing. I love hearing that. I love it.
Hang on. You want to come say hi?
Yes, no? Let's see your fur baby.
Oh, no, he's gone. I was like, the model was like, no, you're trying to make me model again. No. Yeah, he'll take pictures like the one in this end. The other one's asleep here again.
Here we are. There's one.
Yeah, he's generally my audience for these. It's for these kind of events when we do lunch and learns. Like obviously I've been doing a lot of them on Zoom. And sometimes the vet clinics don't always have cameras set up, so I can't see them, or they don't have like they're on mute while I do the presentation part. So it's a little weird to sometimes feel like I'm just presenting to nobody, but my cat sits in the corner and I'm like, I'm just presenting to him. He's heard this thing a million times now. He can probably present it better than I can.
Definitely. Every time I'm doing a class, my students always have their screens on black, and so I'm just like, oh, there he is.
This is Archie.
Are you talking about me?
No, I'm not talking about you, Dad.
Oh damn.
Now he's our model for my model anyway. So anyways, hi Dr.
Remembers you now. She didn't recognize. She was trying to place you at first, and now she's like, I realize who your dad is.
I have glasses on too, so take those off, knitting.
I mean, I feel like everyone in Orange County knows who you are.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, that's absolutely a good thing.
There we go. She says so it's true.
All right. This is true, right?
Yes.
That's good.
But we're just finishing up.
All right. Well, I'm just sitting up. Sarah Woodworth's here, and Clint. There's just a bunch of people sitting over at Brad's house. So I'm gonna get Jackie because it's a little. It's getting chilly, man. As soon as the sun went down.
We're still recording, just so you know. That was all recorded.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, we need to learn that vet professionals have a life outside of vet med. So this is totally it. Like, I'm a nerd. I have nerdy stuff in the background. Like everyone's got a life outside of vet med.
You know, during one of them, he handed me a big old margarita. I was like, you know, at least it's not like a glass. It was in just a regular tumbler. I'm like, it's just juice. That's all it is. No alcohol during a business-ish thing.
I mean, we're all, so I guess like, because previously, like again, to use an example, like the pre-COVID, post-COVID thing, like you would go to these events and they would be CE things and they would be at dinner and people would have it. It's totally fine to do it if you're on virtual too.
Yeah, and a lot of really important business and future decisions have been made while people were socializing.
Yes. Yes.
100%. Like the best people you'll meet at conferences is when you are out after the conference.
Yes. The happy hour.
Yeah, and some of the best networking I've done has been after the conference.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those people are still friends of mine from 30 years ago. So
Yep.
I don't know why either, Jane, but so, all right,
If you've learned anything there, it's for anyone watching, go to conferences because they are awesome networking events. And you get to meet people from all different places, like different companies, different parts of veterinary medicine. You find weird places that you didn't know vet med existed.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait for conferences to start up again.
Me too. The virtual ones are fun. I do miss seeing people in person.
Yeah, it's a different experience.
Oh, 100%.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed having this chat with you. And I look forward to when we're able to get this posted up onto our YouTube page and other people hear about Just Food for Dogs.
Yeah, and like I said, if anyone ever wants to reach out, please do. Like I'm happy to like talk about, again, Just Food for Dogs or just careers for vet techs in general. Like, I love this. I can do this all day. I do this all day.
So you know you've got the right spot is when you enjoy doing what you do. So there you go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and you have yourself a lovely rest of your evening.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thanks. Bye, guys.